All right, good morning, everybody. Hey, this is the day that the Lord have made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for tuning in the backyard, Pastor Perryman. Hey, today is a beautiful day. It's an exciting day. It's a lovely day, but most of all, man, it's a day, man, that we are alive to give God praise for today. So, hey, y'all do me a favor. Share, like, tag, invite, start a watch party, get other people to come on and be a part of In the Backyard with Pastor Perryman, all right? Hey, shout out to our Instagram audience today. Shout out to our Facebook Live audience today. Shout out to Gigi, who's on today. Shout out to Miss Bambi. Shout out to Miss Maruka Yates. Shout out to Miss Sheila T. Roby, who's on this morning. Miss Gloria Turner is rocking with us this morning. Good to see you guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Do me a favor. Make sure you share, you like, you tag, you invite. Start a watch party today. Get other people to come on and be a part of In the Backyard with Pastor Perryman, all right? As you can see, the sun is not really right, so we had to really stay under this pergola for a moment just to give this broadcast today. But I need y'all to share, like, tag, invite today. Start a watch party this morning. Get other people to come on and be a part of In the Backyard with Pastor Perryman, all right? Hey, shout out to Miss Bambi, who's on this morning. Good to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So again, share, like, tag, invite. Start a watch party. Get other people to come on and be a part of In the Backyard with Pastor Perryman. Today is going to be a great day. Man, it's really going to be a great day. I promise you it is. But man, let me get some of this amazing coffee that my wife gave me this morning, and we're going to get to it, all right? Shout out to Miss Janine this morning. Shout out to Miss Jamie Lynn. Shout out to Miss Edna Powell. Shout out to Clint Powell, who's on this morning. Good to see you guys. Hey, y'all do me a favor now. You got to share, like, tag, invite. You got to start a watch party this morning. Today is going to be a great day. Let's get to it this morning. To be honest with you, I kind of wrestled with, man, this chair's making up too much noise. Maybe I need to change it. Yeah, it's making up too much noise. Let me change this chair really quickly. Y'all hold on. I got to move this chair. I don't like this squeaky chair. It's making too much noise. So let me get it right here. Got me another chair. So I'm ready to go right now. All right. Oh, yeah, this is a whole lot better. This chair sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. All right, but let's get to it right now. I kind of grappled with, do I talk about this? Actually had something else to talk about, but I kind of, was just grappling. Do I talk about something else? Hey, shout out to Bam, Miss Paulette Martin, Miss Prophetess Kathy Fontenot, good to see you. But I was kind of, grappling with this. Do I talk about something else? But it's just in light of the recent incidents that have taken place, I felt that as a black man, as a pastor, that I should talk about this. We've talked about the racism in the past, but I felt we should talk about it today. We saw on Tuesday night, 17-year-old man come from another city, another state, Illinois, and we saw him come to Wisconsin. We saw him kill 2 people, injure other people. He's got an assault weapon. We watch him. The video shows him shooting these people. He lays his hand and lifts his hands up and walks toward the police. And I counted them. There were about 6 to 7 of those trucks they call battle cats or bearcats drove right past him while people are screaming. He just shot people. He just killed people. They drove right past him. He walked up to the police car with his hands up, and the police officers made him go over there. And the dude went home and went to bed. And I thought, this is an outrage. We just watched a guy get shot 7 times in the back. And now we're seeing a white guy kill people right in front of our eyes, and nothing happened. Then we see the police chief comes out of Kenosha, Wisconsin, and he comes out and he says, if they would have been at home and adhered to the curfew, nobody would have died. You turn on the television and you hear Tucker Carlson say that if those states would have gotten law and order together, then we wouldn't have been able to see this. What can you expect? It was not a shocker to me to see a 17-year-old go down and kill people because he's trying to get law and order. We are watching a people take our lives right before our very eyes. And we're watching a people say, what is next? What do we do next? We saw the NBA take a stand last night and say we're not going to play tonight, even though they wasn't somewhat unified by it, but they end up somehow getting unified, and they walked out because they said enough is enough. We donned the Black Lives Matter t-shirts. We wrote on the back of our jerseys, say her name, how many more, my life matters. But yet it seems like our lives doesn't matter. We had a plumbing issue at our house yesterday, so I had to make a phone call to get a plumber to come out to the house. So a few hours after I make the phone call, my doorbell rings at my house. And I look out the peephole and I see that it's the plumber. I open up the door, and when the plumber sees me, he's surprised. He's a white guy. He sees me open the door, and he is shocked to see that it is a black man opening this door to this house. He looks up at the house, and he looks at me. He looks up at the house because he's trying to figure out if he's at the wrong address. I said, come on in, man. Let me take you to the plumbing problem. I got one upstairs. I got one downstairs in my bathroom. And I tell him what the issue is. He goes upstairs. He says, oh, yeah, this one's messed up pretty bad. Something may be clogged up in there. We can get it fixed. I take him down to my guest bedroom with the bathroom in it and shows him what the problem is. He says, oh, yeah, this is the problem. He fixes everything in about a good 30 minutes. So as we're going back upstairs now, he asked me the question, what do you do? I said, what do you mean, what do I do? He says, what do you do? I'm a pastor. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, what do you think about this protesting? So now I know we're about to lead into an area that's going to create controversy and confusion. What do you think about this protesting? There's no social distancing in protesting, but yet they won't let people go to church. You really don't want to talk about church. You really want to talk about the protesting. So now we're going on upstairs, and he's finishing everything else, and as we were leaving, getting ready to walk down, he said, who are you? I said, I just told you I'm a pastor. Well, no, you got to be more than just that because my boss said that don't worry about the fine, don't worry about the bill, it's covered. So who are you? I said, I'm a pastor who got favor on his life. We're going downstairs to the door, and so he says, I just really want to say something. Okay, what do you want to say? And he wants to start talking about the protesting of Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. And I said, okay, you want to have a dialogue, let's have the dialogue. This country should be built on dialogue where people can sit down and have conversation with each other. I said, but the reality is, you have a problem with Black Lives Matter. You don't have a problem with protesting. You have a problem with the people, the skin color of people who are protesting. No, I don't. Yeah, you do. You have a problem with it. I said, because when you open up this door, you were shocked that it was a black man living in this house. And no, that's not the issue. It's the other Antifa groups that Black Lives Matter has ingratiated themselves with. I said, nah, you got a problem with black folk. And I said, I peeped you when you walked in the door. You are either skinhead or you're an ex-skinhead. And so he says, well, yeah, I was an ex-skinhead. I said, so you don't have a problem with the protest. You have a problem that it is black people who are protesting. You have a problem with that. And so here's his words back to me. Well, I just want things to be different. So my question to him is, why is my skin color a threat to you? You don't know me. You've never met me. You've never seen me. You've never heard from me. Why is my skin color a threat to you? And he says, well, I wasn't expecting this. And so here we are, we're dialoguing more. And he says to me, I go to a lot of Section 8 houses, and when I go to a lot of Section 8 houses, people want to do something to me. People want to rob me. And so my words back to him, brother, you are the plumber. You don't have no money on you. You got a plumber's uniform on, you got a plumber's tool belt on you, and a plumber's car. People in Section 8 housing ain't robbing the plumber. They ain't trying to rob the plumber. That is a perception that you have of us. I said, first of all, if you was coming to Section 8 housing to do some work, a plumbing work in the apartment, those people know you were coming. The people are not going to rob the person who can actually flush their toilet for them. So they didn't come to rob you. I said, if you were to sit down and stop and think and have conversation with these people, you're going to find out that these are decent people. They've just been dealt a bad hand. Some of them may be getting over, but the majority of them are not getting over. They're not robbing you, brother. You the plumber. You came over here with no money in your pocket. You came over here with a tool belt that they can't use and a plumber's vehicle that they can't do nothing with. So nobody is robbing the plumber. It's your perception. So my question again to you is, why is my skin color a threat to you? And he couldn't answer. So as we're having more dialogue, I said we need to draw the line in the sand. We need to draw the line in the sand right now because I'm all for healthy dialogue. We need to have it. But I'm not going to accept disrespect. So you got to be careful with me. He said, well, no, I would never do this. I said, okay, let's dialogue now. But you have to understand now, I am a man first before I am a pastor. I'm a man first. And at the same time, I'm going to show you some respect as a man, but I'm going to demand respect from you. So you can't cross the line by saying some things just because it's in your heart. You're going to have to get it together, brother. And so he says, well, why is it it's okay for a black person to call me a white boy, but it's not okay for me to call you an N-word? I said, it ain't never, you don't have the right to call me an N-word. You don't have a right to call me that, and I ain't going to let you call me that. You don't have the right to call me that. But why is it okay for you to call me a white boy? I said, it's not okay for us to call you a white boy. In the same way that racism is embedded in you, it's embedded in us too. We can't get around it. Sometimes we as black people, we like to say that racism is only in the white person. But the reality is racism is in us too. It's in us too. Because as soon as you walk into a place and you see a white person, you have a racist thought. It comes up out of you. It's in you. It's been deposited in you down through the years. In the same way that it is deposited in them down through the years, it is deposited in you down through the years. And it's because of the stuff that we have all dealt with. But the reality is, it's all sin. It is all sin. Every bit of it is sin. And what the devil has done is that he has sought to divide us and conquer us because he understands this is what it is. So now here we are, we're talking, and he says, my dad is a police officer, and my dad says 74% of black people that he stopped in cars, the car is hot. I said, whoa, pump your brakes, homie, pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. What you mean the car is hot? Well, I'm not talking about the car's just stolen. I'm talking about there's either drugs in the car is hot, it's stolen, there's weapons in the car, there's a felon in the car. I said, well, what about the other 26% of us who not illegal, who don't have no drugs in the car, who don't have no firearms in the car? Well, what about the other 26% of us who don't have no felons, who ain't never been to the penitentiary like me? Well, what about the other 26% of us? I said, what your father is telling you is he thinks that he has a legal right to racially profile us and stop us for no reason. I said, your daddy is telling you a lie. He's trying to give you a legitimate reason to stop us. Well, if they don't just stop people, how are they going to know what crime is? So you don't have the right to stop me because you think that I'm going to commit a crime. You don't have a right to stop me. Why is my skin color a threat to you? You don't know me. I never met you. You've never seen me. You've never heard from me. You probably will never see me again. Why is my skin color a threat to you? And his words out of my mouth, well, it's just a large group of you guys commit crimes. I said, and you commit crimes too. He goes, well, what do you mean we commit crimes? I said, we don't kill the police. You do. Black folks don't come up and kill the police. Y'all do. We're not serial killers. You are. We don't run up in the federal government building. We don't run up in the postal building and kill up everybody in there. You do that. But the reality is, your stuff is not being posted. Ours is. When we commit crimes in our neighborhood, you magnify that. But you do not magnify white on white crime. People commit crime in the neighborhood that they live in. If it's a white neighborhood, there's crime committed in that neighborhood. People don't always leave their neighborhood. And when I'm talking about a neighborhood, I'm talking about a 15-mile radius. People normally commit crime within a 15-mile radius of their life, of where they live. This is what they know. This is where they live. They know this area. They know the back streets. You ain't going nowhere and robbing something and doing some dirt in a place that you don't know how to get free. You don't know how to get away. I said, come on, man. I said, your father is trying to give you a legitimate reason as to why he's racially profiled many of us. I said, for me, I'm not going to accept that. And I'm not going to accept it from you. Because what you're doing is spewing hatred. And the hatred that you're spewing stems from what's in office right now. And you feel you have a right to say, I'm not going to accept it from you. So I said again, the line is drawn in the sand. Please don't cross it. I'm not going to show disrespect to you, and I'm definitely going to demand respect from you. So, yeah, we're not going to do that. And so here he is. I had to point out the embedded racism that's in him that he wasn't aware of. He tells me, I went to Oregon, and I was living in Oregon for a while, and no black people were in Oregon in this town that I was in. And all they were doing was just using the N-word constantly. And I had to say to them, why are you using the N-word? There are none of them around here. And I said, see, you don't even realize the embedded racism that is in you. With a statement like that, you don't even understand how racist you are. What do you mean? That's not racist. I was trying to say that I'm not a skinhead anymore, and this, that is wrong to use that language. I said, but yet and still, the residue of being a skinhead is still in you. What do you mean? I said, you said you went to Oregon, you lived there for a few years. And not only did you live there, but you lived in a town that was completely white. They used the N-word on a consistent basis. And you said, do you see any of them around? I said, so in your heart, you still see me as a nigger. You just can't say the words out of your mouth right now because you understand what's going to happen to you if you say these words right now. And he looks at me like he goes like, I said, no, it's embedded in you, brother. It's in you. And so now he's starting to say, oh my God, I didn't know. Thank you for pointing this out. Thank you for pointing this out. I said, so my words to him was, this nation has to come to Christ in order for this nation to be healed, in order for this nation to be what God wants it to be. The Bible says, come unto me, you are heavy laden. And he says, I will give you rest. See, you can't have rest if you don't come to Christ. If you don't come to Christ, you will have civil unrest. This is what we're having. And so he's saying, well, I believe there's going to be a civil war. I said, nah, that's your racism talking. That's your Ku Klux Klanism talking. That's your skinheadism talking. Ain't going to be no doggone civil war. We've had civil war in this country before. There ain't going to be no civil war. God's going to deal with that and block all of that. Ain't going to be no civil war. It's in your mind. You probably got a cache full of weapons that you preparing for a civil war. He doesn't say anything. We keep dialoguing. And my question to him again is, why is my skin color a threat to you? He has no answer for me. I said, you don't know me. I haven't shown you any disrespect, haven't talked to you crazy, haven't done any of that. So why is my skin color a threat to you? Why? He has no answer for it. And there are many people today who are watching me, different races or whatever. You may work around black people. You may work around Hispanic people. But if you don't deal with the subtle racism that is in you, this country will never come together as one. It will always be divided. You have to ask yourself a question, am I really racist? And if you talk to you long enough, you're going to answer you. As black people, we have to ask ourselves a question. Is there some racism in me? Because the reality is, if you search long enough, you're going to find out that it is there. So we're going into more conversation. I said to him, he says, my daddy is a police officer, and my cousins are police officers. I said, oh, wow. Okay, you got a family of police officers? He said, yeah, we have family of police officers. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, what happens during this time of riots and things and protesting? A lot of police officers sign up to be on the riot team because it gives them hazard pay. But not only that, they give them an opportunity to crack some heads or crack some skulls. Well, yeah, my dad said that's why he and my cousin signed up for the riot team. It gives hazard pay, they can crack some skulls. And I said, I bet you outside of this job, your dad without his uniform on, your cousins without their uniforms on, can't get it in the streets. So what does that mean, can't get it in the streets? They can't get it from here in the streets. The uniform gives you authority, gives them a certain authority. It gives them a certain power. The uniform does that. But if it was out in the streets, you couldn't stand for yourself. You would be like putty in a child's hand where they could just play with you all the way they wanted to, because without the gun, without the shield, without the uniform, you can't defend yourself. And you wouldn't have a chance against people in the streets. And so he goes on and he says, well, I come from a family of brawlers. I come from a family of brawlers. My dad's a brawler. I'm a brawler. My two cousins are a brawler. And I said to him, I said, do you see those two women in my house right here? You just saw my wife go by. You see my daughter going down the stairs? He said, yeah. I said, them right there, I'll give my life for them. I'll give my life for them. At the drop of a hat, no hesitation. I'm going to give my life for them. That I'm going to protect them. I said, brother, I will beat you up. I will beat your daddy up. I will beat your cousins up. With no hesitation. I will beat all y'all up. No hesitation, if and buts about it. If it comes down to messing with them in this house and messing with any one of my children, I will beat you up. I will beat your daddy up. And I will beat your two cousins up. I will beat y'all up in a heartbeat. I will beat you up. Gun or no gun, I will beat you up. And so he's like, well, I knew when I first met you that you weren't one to play with, that you was a brawler too. And I kind of figured that out. No hesitation, dude. I will beat y'all up without any problem. And preach your funeral and pray over you. I will beat you up in a heartbeat. No hesitation at all. I said, because I need you to understand that just because you see a black man doesn't mean that he's done something wrong. I said, you step back, you step back and looked at the house and looked at the address to see if you was at the right house. You step back to see if you was at the right, because you could not fathom that it was a black man walking out of this house. You couldn't fathom that. This is why you had to keep asking me, who are you? What do you do? Because you couldn't fathom that I live here. When I told you I was a pastor, you kind of had a little ease to yourself. But you couldn't believe in the beginning that it was a black man living in this house. I said, because you think that we should all live separated lives, live over here, live over here, live over that. That's what you think. And he says, well, I've been pulled over by the police. I said, I guarantee you was pulled over by the police in a neighborhood that they say you weren't supposed to be in. Well, yeah, I was taking my black friend home to Lancaster, and he, they pulled me over. I said, the reason they pulled you over, they saw you in the car with a black man. They thought you was going to buy some drugs, or they thought that he was taking you to the ATM machine to rob you. That's what they thought. That's why they pulled you over and asked you, what are you doing over here in this neighborhood? You don't even understand the white privilege that you have. You were stopped not because you were doing something wrong, but because they thought he was doing something wrong to you. You don't even understand the white privilege that you have, that they stopped you to protect you. And he goes, but if they hadn't stopped me, how would they know what I'm doing? I said, they didn't have a reason to stop you. They stopped you because they saw you in the car with a black man and you were driving. And they assumed that you were being forced to do something that you did not want to do. That's what it was. And I guarantee you, when you told them that you were going to drop him off at home, they said nothing else to you. But I guarantee you, they questioned him left and right. License and registration. Let me see your ID. Get out of the car. Hands on the hood. I bet you they didn't do that to you. He says, no, they did say that to him. I said, because they were not stopping you because of the potential of you doing something wrong. They were stopping you because they thought he was doing something to you. And he goes, I never thought of it like that. I never looked at it like that. I never looked at it like that. I said, you got to get your head out of the sand, man. You got to get your head out of the sand. Well, you guys had a president for 8 years and he did nothing for the black man. How you know what President Obama did for the black man? You ain't pay no attention to the news while he was in office. You didn't watch the news while he was in office. He didn't do nothing for the black man. I said, I guarantee you ain't pay no attention to the news. Well, you right, I really don't watch news. I said, so what you know what he did? President Obama was not the president of the black man. He was the president of the United States. This economy was set on track when he left out of this office. When the next person walked in the office, he had an economy that was on the ups, that was going up. He didn't have an economy that was going down. You listen to lies that came out of certain people's mouths that played to your thought process, and you don't even understand that even the words that are coming out of the mouth of 45 now is playing to a certain group of people. He's posting videos of a man being reformed. He's a Christian man. He's being reformed. He's come out of prison. He's being reformed. So I'm going to pardon him on national television. My question is, how do you pardon a person who's already been out of jail? How do you pardon an individual who already been out of jail for years, who already got his life on track, who already starting programs to help other ex-felons, who's already getting accommodation from the mayor's office, the governor's office, city councilman, who already getting how you pardon this guy? He already out of jail. And he goes, well, he don't have to say he's a convicted felon anymore. He didn't have to say it anymore after he got out of jail. He started formats. He did all this stuff. So I said, this is a stunt. You know it was a stunt. How you do that? How you pardon a guy who already been released from prison? How you do that? How you do that? All this is to play to a base. And you're a part of the base. Well, what part of the base am I? You are the poor white person in the base that had no voice before he came along. And what he did was pulled out of you what was already in your heart. This is what's taking place, brother. You can't even see this. This is what's happening. May I tell people today, I got to end with this. This ain't a deep preaching moment at this moment. You got to get up and go vote. You got to get up and go vote. We must get up and go vote. We must get up and go vote. Please hear me today. Please don't fall for this Ice Cube stuff. I'm talking to those of you right now who are deeply hood, who's deeply rooted in hip hop that are watching me today. Do not play to this Charlamagne the God stuff. Don't play to this Puff Daddy stuff. Don't play to this Ice Cube stuff. What do you mean, Pastor, don't play to, well, we're going to hold the black vote hostage if we don't even find out what politicians are going to do for us. Listen to this. Don't you fall victim to that. It is still a win for who's in office right now because there is no politician who's going to do everything that you ask them to do. Every politician that I have ever seen in office is a liar. What makes you think that the incumbent politician ain't going to be no liar? And what makes you think that the one that's in office is not a liar? Change comes because we get up and we go vote. We register to vote. So here we are. We have three prominent figures in the African American community who is telling us who are hip hop generation and who are a generation of people who have seen systemic racism, who've been hurt and injured by the police, tell us, well, if you're not going to do anything for us as black people, we're going to hold our vote hostage. And so now here you are. You are not getting ready to go vote. Because I'm in agreement with Ice Cube. Ice Cube is wrong. Charlamagne the God is wrong. Puff Daddy is wrong. They don't serve the God that you serve. They're not connected to the God that you serve. They have a different agenda. You can't fall victim to that. They wanted Bernie Sanders in office. He didn't win. He didn't win the Democratic nomination. He didn't win. So don't you stay at home. Don't you stay at home. Don't you stay at home. You are never going to find any politician that is going to be 100% for the Bible, 100% for you as a race. They are not going to be, because they're all going to lie. You must get up and go vote. If you don't get up and go vote and the black vote is held hostage, 45 stays in office another 4 years, and we deal with another 4 years of this stupidity. We deal with another 4 years of this. And then you will be the one who's up front, out front, complaining, and you didn't go vote. You gotta get up and go vote. You gotta get up and go vote. There is not one politician who will be 1,000% for you as an African American. They will not be 1,000% for other people as white people. You must get up and go vote. You must get up and register to vote. You must go vote. You must go vote. You must vote on the local level as well. You must vote. I'm talking to you. If we could get certain district attorneys out of office, things could change. If we could vote in the right police chief, things could change. If you could vote people in office that will replace Senator Lindsey Graham and all of these people, things would change. If you don't get up and vote, we will have the same stuff for another 4 years because you didn't get up and go vote, and you will constantly be complaining. Racism is not going anywhere. It's going to stay here. The only person that can rectify the problem and fix the problem is God himself. You must get up and go vote. You gotta get up and go vote. You can't sit back in this season and not vote. You must vote. I'm talking to you today. You cannot allow this group to tell you that we're gonna hold the black vote hostage. They ain't never done anything for us. Come on, man. Dr. Martin Luther King marched and gave his life for you to have the opportunity to vote. John McCain got beat half to death and almost died on the Edmund Thomas Bridge because he wants you to have equal rights and you to vote. Don't let their death be in vain. Don't let their beatings be in vain because you sitting up here listening to this craziness and you won't get up and go vote. Change starts with you. You have to change. And the way you change is by making a decision to change. We can move things. We can move heaven and earth by getting up and going to vote. Don't let your privilege, don't let something that somebody died for rob you of an opportunity to go vote. There are people who could not vote, who wish that they could vote in the 1800s, in the early 1900s. They wish they could vote and they couldn't vote. There are people who are watching me from my town in Itabena. They are old enough to remember when their mothers and grandmothers and their fathers and grandmothers could not vote. And you have an opportunity. Get up and go vote. Go vote. You gotta go vote. I don't care who you're voting for, but get up and go vote. Please get up and go vote. You cannot sit back and say, well, I'm not going to vote. They do something for the black man. What do you want them to do for us? You can initiate the change yourself. I got to close with this part. So as I'm standing outside talking to this guy, he's saying, President Obama has done a lot of things for the black man. Look at what you have now. Look at what he's done for you. You're here because I said President Trump ain't had nothing to do with me being in the house that I'm in. He don't have nothing to do with me being in the house that I'm in. What President Trump has done, look, he's done more for the black man than anybody has ever done in history. Look at where you are. You live in this nice home. Only President Trump could have provided that. President Trump didn't provide nothing for me. Well, how'd you get here then? I got here because I know my God. I got here because I know principles. I got here because of my seed sowing. I got here because of my honor to my pastors. I got here because of this. I didn't get here because of President Trump. I didn't get no stimulus check like everybody else did. Rev didn't get no stimulus check. I didn't get no stimulus check. I went down there trying to find one. I didn't get one. It is favor in God. It is faith in God. It is my fellowship with my pastor. It is my connection to my man of God. It is my seed in the ground. It is my seed to my man of God every single week that got me here. It ain't no President Trump that got me here. The Bible said, they that know their God shall do great exploits. I'm here not because of who I am, but because of who he is. And I know this Bible. This is why I'm here. Am I radical? You better believe I am. Am I real? You better believe I am. Am I rough, rugged, and raw? You better believe I am. But what I am also is relatable. You got to get up and you got to go vote. I'm not trying to be deep this morning with anything. If you can sit back and see the civil unrest that's taking place and you not say anything, you got to check your heart. I told him, I said, man, I know people personally who went down and marched for Black Lives Matter. Those people are not dangerous people. Lyndon Yates was downtown marching with Black Lives Matter. He not dangerous. He was sold out Christian for God at LPCC. He was there. Karen Yates, a sold out Christian intercessory prayer warrior for God. She was down there. Their son was down there. These are not terrible people. These are people who want to see social change. And these are people who are hurt because of what they're seeing every day. You have to develop a disdain for the things of the devil. The devil is creating more controversy, more chaos, and more confusion. And a lot of us are in our stained glass windows, in our stained glass churches. And we're just in there. And here's what we're not doing. We're not standing against racism. We're not standing against social inequality. We're not standing against social injustice. Well, Pastor, I know we got to go. You got to go. But Black Lives Matter support homosexuality. I said, God do too. What? God support homosexuals too. Don't think he don't. What? To you who are staunchly religiously a Christian, God stands with the homosexual too. He don't stand with the sin, but you can't do no damage to them. You can't hurt them. You can't mistreat them and think that he's not going to stand for them. It's his creation. He don't agree with the sin, but he still loves them. So don't think that because here you are, you're a Christian. Well, I don't agree with Black Lives Matter because they support homosexuality, they support transgender, they support this, but they also stand against racial inequality. You don't have to agree with everything, but you can't agree with that. That's wrong. And the reality is the church is the one that's supposed to be on the forefront, leading the charge and leading the cause. If the church stood up and the church got on the forefront, things would shift and things would change. The church has to be on the forefront. You can't just have your tambourine in your hands and dancing and jumping and jerking and jiggling all over the place. We have to stand. I'm going to use my platform that I have to reach as many people as I can. But I'm also going to use my platform that God gave me to call out wrong when I see it. I'm not hiding behind the pews. I'm not going to be like most pastors that I hear. Well, that's not my assignment. It is every one of our assignments that's called to teach and preach this gospel. It is our assignment. The Bible says that we are supposed to stand for those who've been racially mistreated, those who've been unfairly treated. We are supposed to stand for them. They don't have a voice to stand, but the church has a voice. We have to stand. No more hiding behind the pews. No more hiding behind my assignment. No more hiding behind any of this stuff. God don't want me in this. The Bible says when the righteous are in authority, a city rejoices. City changes when the righteous are in authority. We don't see no city. We don't see no righteous in authority in this day and age. The Lord is sure to come soon. We got to make sure our lives are right and we are on point. And I am not going to be one of the ones who just sit behind in the pews and say nothing and do nothing. I'm going to say something. I'm going to use my platform to call out sin when I see it. I'm going to call out racist injustice when I see it. This is crazy. You shoot a guy 7 times in the back. Nobody gets arrested. You get put on administrative leave with pay. How is that possible? The guy, 17-year-old, shoot 3 people, kill 2 people, and shoot a couple other people, and walks down the street with his hands up with his assault rifle on his side. And all the Bearcats, all the police in the Bearcats, 7 of them drive right past him. He got his hands up, people are screaming, he just killed people. And the police, he got his hands up, they drive right past him. When he gets to the police car to turn himself in, they tell him to go on over there, and the dude goes home and go to bed. How is that possible? How is that possible? You are saying that my life does not matter. I'm a father with sons. I'm a father with daughters. And to sit up here and tell you that I'm not afraid for my kids' life would be a lie. I am afraid for my son's life. I am afraid for my kids' life. I'm afraid for their life. I got a son who just learned how to drive and got a car, and he's driving in Virginia now in the Navy. And I got to have a conversation with him on a consistent basis that uniform means nothing to people. You are a black man, and they care nothing about your uniform. It doesn't matter that you serve this country. We have served this country in every war, and yet we have still been mistreated and ostracized. We have given our lives in every war, and yet you still enslave us. Yet and still, we come down the gangplank off the boats from Sicily, come off the boats from Germany, come off the boats from France, come off the boats from the Philippines, come off the boats from Japan, and you say, whites to the left, blacks to the right. We got to go back to the same thing. You care nothing about what we've done. We have been the most patriotic people in this world, and yet we still get mistreated. How is that possible? What is it about my skin color that is a threat to you? Why is my skin color a threat to you? What makes you think that I'm inferior? What makes you think that I'm dangerous? What makes you think that? We're not all black men who are oversexed. There's some white men who are oversexed. There's some white women who are oversexed. There's some black women who are oversexed. Some black men who are oversexed. What makes you think that this is all our thoughts? What makes you think that we are black men who don't care for our children? What makes you think that? It is because you've been told this down through the years. We care for our family. We provide for our family. But you give us a shorty end of the stick. And we got to battle our way through. And then when we finally get somebody to the top, your thought is, see, look at Oprah. Look at Oprah. You got Oprah. You got Michael Jordan. You got this person. You got that person. What are they? Less than 10%? Less than 1% of our population? I know what it's like to go to school and have to use books and that page is torn out of it. I know what it's like to go to school and have books that's 10 years old. And we have nothing updated. Therefore, we already behind and we can't compete. You don't have to tell your child. I'm talking to Caucasian people who are watching me today. You don't have to have this conversation with your children. That when you go in the store, make sure your hands are not in your pocket. We don't want people to think that you have stolen something, so keep your hands out of your pocket. When you are stopped by the police, make sure that you say yes sir, no sir. Make sure you don't give them a cause to shoot you. Keep your hands up where they can see them. Make sure you present your ID to them. Make sure that you do what you got to do to get home. You don't have that conversation. We have to have it with our children. You go so far as having a conversation with the birds and the bees with your child. What it's like going to college, but you don't know nothing about what it means to be racially profiled for something that you did not do. You don't know what it's like to be pulled over by the police. You don't know what it's like to see your friends get shot in front of you by the police. You don't know what it's like to see drugs planted on your friends and they did nothing, and now they're serving a life sentence because a disrespectful rogue officer put drugs on them, and now they're going to prison, and they got no money to hire an attorney to defend them, and so they got to get a public defender who's really in bed with the DA because that's what he wants to be later on. And now you're stuck like a truck in the mud, and they play with your life like this. They're juggling life. You know nothing about that. You know nothing about that. I have friends who've been killed by the police for something that they didn't do. I have friends who are in jail right now, and they didn't sell drugs, didn't do anything illegal, but they're in prison right now because drugs were planted on them. You don't know what that's like. You don't have that conversation. We have to have that conversation. Get in the house before dark. Make sure you are safe. Make sure that if the police is pulling you over and you're in an area that is not lit properly, make sure you call 911 and say to 911, hey, I'm being pulled over by the police, but I'm in an area that is not lit properly. I'm just trying to pull over to an area where there is light. So for my safety and for their safety as well. And the bottom line is you can do everything that is right. Everything that they ask you, you can comply and still lose your life, and you complied. How is that possible? And why is there no more outrage? My life does matter. My life does matter. The Hispanic brother's life matters. The Asian man's life matters. The Iranian man's life matters. People of color, our life matters. It matters. If you don't take this thing serious, I don't want to hear no more preaching from you. I don't want to hear no more prophesying from you. I don't want to hear no more rada shanda for you. I don't want to hear nothing else from you. If you're not going to stand and say right is right and wrong is wrong, I don't want to hear nothing else from you. You could unfriend me today if you choose to. That's your choice. But I don't want to hear no more from you. Your prophecy means nothing to me. Your preaching means nothing to me. I have already disconnected myself from some of the prominent pastors in this world because you stand with what is wrong, and then you can't seem to think that my life matters. I watched the police officer beat a black woman and beat her to pieces in the streets. I watched him beat her with other white people cheering him on as he's beating her, and they're standing there and nothing nobody could do. And after they beat her, they laughed at her and threw her in the car. These are the things that we deal with every day. Not everybody, not every woman that you see with her hair tied up is doing something illegal. Not every black woman that you see with tattoos on is doing something illegal. Not every black woman that you see with one yellow sock on and one red sock, and maybe her shorts is too short and she's going into the store. Not every one of them is doing something crazy. You have this perception of us that we are evil people and we are doing something dumb and doing something stupid. A lot of us are in this situation because we are not as educated as you. We didn't get an opportunity to get the jobs that you had. We didn't get an opportunity to pull our family up, so we had to get it the best way that we could. And that meant selling drugs on the streets. That meant doing this and doing that to try to provide for our families. We took a penitentiary chance just to get our families out. We took a death chance just to get our families out. Not everybody is dumb and stupid, not every one of us. But sometimes you become a culprit of your environment. So today, I'm totally different today. Totally different today. Totally different today. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We have to stand up and we got to say something. We got to say something. You have to say something. You must go vote. You must go vote. You must go vote. That's my time today. I'm not even really asking for no offering or praying for anybody else. No praying for nobody today. I'm just, this is just it for me. I'm at a point right now because to see those kids get shot in the streets last night, Tuesday night was like, that could have been my kids who got killed. To see that man get shot 7 times in the back, that could have been my sons. How many more? How many more? How many more? How many more names are we going to add to this? We heard this morning there's been at least 300 African Americans who have been killed this year. Unarmed black men who've been killed this year, at least 300. That's almost 1 soul a day. How many more? How many more? Before we stand up and say, I'm going to vote, that I'm going to make sure that there's a change, that I'm going to fall on my face and I'm going to pray, that I'm going to say something. How many more? How many more? How many more? Today is the day that I give the day to every black person who's living in the ghettos today and trying to get out, and it's been hard for them. Today is the day for every white person who's been trying to stand with us down through the years, have never fully understood, but they've been standing with us. Today is your day as well. I give the day to black mothers who have lost their children in the streets to senseless violence. Today is your day. I give the day to black women who have lost their husbands and lost their boyfriends to senseless violence and at the hands of police brutality. I give this day to fathers who have lost their sons and lost their daughters at the hands of police brutality. I give this day to you. Ain't nothing else we can say. I gotta go. Love y'all. Be blessed.